All right, perfect. Well, welcome, 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 everybody, to the last day of our last Empowerment Week of 2021. I feel like the year has kind of flown by, and so has this week, but we're going to end it on a high note. We have the wonderful Anessa Powell joining us tonight. She is with All Ability Recruiting, and she's going to talk a little bit about resumes and her business and how to be able to get out there and find a job. So without further ado, I'm just going to pass it right over to Anessa.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It is so exciting to be here. So it's a Friday. We're going to keep it fun. I know you don't want to sit here and watch a screen and listen to me do a presentation on this. So we're going to roll through this. And as we do, please stop me if you have a question, because when I start presenting my slides, I can't see you. So just feel free to interrupt me and let me know what you're thinking, the direction you want to go in, any questions that you have. I will be absolutely more than happy to answer. So if Jackie, you could let me share my screen. Oh, perfect. On it. Yay. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see this. Jackie, can you see it? Are we good? Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, let's get into getting hired. And if you have, like I said, anything particular, just jump in at any time. And I can't actually see your faces. This is good because the last time I did it, I couldn't. I guess it was the way it was created. All right, so let's go into a little bit about me. If I can get my screen to move. There we go. So why am I passionate about disability awareness, disability employment, all of that good stuff? So just to tell you a little bit about me and my history. So this is actually my dad on the right. He was in a car accident when I was 10 years old. He was hit by a drunk driver and he sustained serious injuries. A traumatic brain injury actually is what he had, a TBI as they call it today. And he was my first introduction at a very young age of what it looks like to be disabled and to actually have an invisible disability. And then years later, I was diagnosed in 2013 with Addison's disease, which is also known as primary adrenal insufficiency. And it is a rare disease when your adrenal glands stop working. This is a picture of me many moons ago. This is actually taken 2012. This was about a month before I was diagnosed. And if you look at my hands, you can see that they're very dark pigmentation. It's not the shading or the lighting in that particular event. This is actually taken at Disney World back when they used to do these lights at Hollywood Studios. And I was having all of these random symptoms, and I was eventually diagnosed in 2013, like I said, with Addison's. And I was thrown into this new world of what it looks like to have a disability, but an invisible disability. And ever since then, I have been learning and networking and advocating for people with disabilities of all types, visible and invisible. And in this past year, my husband and I launched All Ability Recruiting. So we are a recruitment firm specializing in the disability community and working with people that are looking for opportunities to get their foot in the door, and also working for businesses that want to be more inclusive in their hiring practices. And I'll go a little bit more into that, but this just kind of gives you an idea of how I am where I am. Okay, so are you disabled and want to go to work? Where do you begin? So please tell me and interject here. So I am kind of directing this more for those that are, I can do it both ways. So if you let me know how you kind of want me to direct it. When there's different options for people who are disabled that are either wanting to have through the Ticket to Work program within your state, vocational rehab, and then working with a recruiter like myself. So there's different levels and different ways in which to do that. I'm not going to focus on Ticket to Work and vocational rehab. That's a little bit more out of my wheelhouse. That is something that I can certainly put you in touch with people that are much more knowledgeable about that than me. I am looking at it from the recruitment standpoint. So we operate at All Ability Recruiting as a traditional recruitment firm. So when you work with a recruiter, they take your skill set and then they match you with job opportunities. And that's what we do. So we actually work twofold. We have two different groups that we work with. We work with our candidates. Those are the people that are looking for employment. or wanting to switch careers, wanting to change jobs, and wanting to work with someone to help them find that. And then we also work with our clients, and those are the companies that actually reach out to us saying, look, I want to be more inclusive in my hiring practices. I want to include the largest minority group in the world, which is the disability community, in finding meaningful employment for them. The beauty of what I do, and this makes me so happy, is that when you go for a traditional interview, the hiring manager is not allowed to ask you about your disability. They are allowed to ask you what accommodations you need, but they are not allowed to ask you exactly about it. But that's where I come in. So when you work with us at All Ability Recruiting, I get to know you pretty well, and I get to find out what your strengths are, true nature of your disability, and what those accommodations you will need. So when you are presented and I present you to an employer, I can say to them, look, let me tell you about this awesome guy, Tyler. I just happened to see your face there, Tyler, who is looking for employment. He is great. And he just needs to make sure that he has an opportunity to feel valued by making sure that his desk is accessible, at a certain height, so that he is in a wheelchair. So when he gets to the desk, that it fits for him and it is made for him and works for him, and many other steps. Obviously, you guys just high level. And then the company can say, yes, we can absolutely accommodate that. And that's their promise. And another part of that is I can follow up and make sure that those promises are being met. So that's part of what we do to ensure that what they're saying actually happens. So let's go into resumes, and please stop me if you have questions. And your resume is your selling point. This is absolutely the number one thing that you have to focus on when you are presenting yourself and wanting to get your foot in the door, because that's what I'm sending over to my clients. It needs to include who you are, what you are about, your strengths, and your qualifications. So keep it concise. Please, please, please do not make it 5 pages long, because they're not going to read it. And quite frankly, I'm not going to read it. It needs to be bullet points, truly work the best. So say, for instance, you have a current position that you're in, and you would say something like, I am store manager, and I started in June of 2019 to present, which makes me know that you're working there currently. Don't put an end date, because if you're currently working there, it needs to say present. And also list out all of the details of what you're doing in your job. And you need to keep it as detailed as you can without saying too much, if that makes sense. Like, you don't want it to have a Magna Carta. You don't want it to be a page long of all your responsibilities. Highlight on buzzwords that your job that you're looking for and you want to interview for is going to be looking for. So if you're wanting to move up and you want to be a full manager position, you need to make sure that you have management skills and that you're presenting that and how you managed. And if you have feedback of your management style, you put that as well. Proofread, you guys, I can't stress this enough. Proofread, proofread, proofread. Have your friends do it. Have your family look over it. Listen, the technology that we have is wonderful, but it's not going to catch if you spell when you're supposed to have 2 with 2 O's instead of 1 O. You get the drift. You just have to look over that. And when I look at resumes too, I will look at it and make sure that, looks good. And if you need help with resumes, this is the wonderful part of where we live. We have access to so many options. If you just Google resume examples, there are templates out there for you to follow. So if you, for instance, do not have a resume currently, there's lots of different options. And I come from the philosophy, and different recruiters may feel differently about this, but you just want to, no format is perfect, honestly. You want to keep it in order, but at the same time, I've seen different ways where people put their name at the top along with what their strengths are at the top. I've seen it at the bottom. The biggest thing is you want to make sure that you sell yourself in the way that's comfortable for you. So if you have to present your resume to someone in an interview and you can point to it, something that you're comfortable with, but this is your selling point. Okay. Any questions real quick before I move on about resumes? Because I can certainly
if someone has to go further than a page, do you recommend like a full back and front, or do you recommend like stopping halfway? Because I like in school, they kind of recommended if you have to go on to a second page, try
Yes.
to make it full. Is that something that you would recommend as well?
And I will say most resumes don't fit on one page. They do really fit on two, especially if you have, like, you're going to want to include everything. You're going to want to include your work history. And I actually spoke with a candidate yesterday, and she had various gaps in her resume, and she didn't want to put, like, she's older now, but she didn't want to put, like, when she graduated high school, that she worked at, she was a teller, and then now her disability changed that and she can only work from home, and she didn't want to say that. And I said, no, 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 you absolutely need to see that, because regardless if it's been 20 years ago, and I know I'm kind of going on a tangent, sorry, but if it's been 20 years ago, they also need to see that you had the opportunity, that you were in a working environment, and that you can handle different types of opportunities thrown your way. So if you're a teller, you have customer service skills, you're working with people, you have organizational skills, math, all of that. That shows that. It may not be something that you're familiar with now, but it shows that you have the experience in the past that could easily translate into something new and parlay that into what you may be looking for. For fit, you can space it out, like on the second page. If you're going down and you have just a little bit on the second, you can make it, space it down to where it kind of fits more in the middle and looks more professional that way, as opposed to saying you have 2 sentences on the top of the page and that's it. You can certainly kind of play with the fonts and the spacing, and you can make it even longer on the first to carry over more into the second. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it absolutely did. And I think we have one more question from Michelle. Michelle, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, go forward and head.
Thanks so much for the presentation so far. It's been really informative.
Hi,
Quick
Michelle.
question regarding, I know a lot of people, especially with disabilities, have, like you said, gaps in their resume, or they've taken some time to do therapy, or, been in the hospital. So can you talk a little bit about like functional resumes and like skills-based versus like these like time chronological ones? Like, are there, like, when's the best time to use that? And like, how does that look versus the more traditional one?
Well, I'll be honest, when we have candidates or clients that reach out to us, they know we're working with the disability community, and they know that you might be having the opportunity for people with gaps. I had a major gap in my resume.
Right. Yeah.
I took time off to be a stay-at-home mom, and then I got sick and diagnosed, and there's a large gap. However, sharing the skills that you have, regardless of the order, I think is important, because it just shows your qualifications to them. And it also shows that, say for instance, I was a stay-at-home mom, but I volunteered a bunch, and I put that volunteer experience on there because I think it was very important to share just as much as you possibly can. If you have your own blog and you're sharing your experience, include that. Say, and have the website attached to it, and have the link on the website, on the resume itself. Just anything that you can include. Obviously, you want to have it in a neat and orderly fashion, so you can decide if you want to do your past qualifications, your jobs that way, or you can put what you have now. Just kind of, you can play with it and make sure that looks good, and get other people's opinions too, Michelle. You know what? You can always reach out to me and ask, and I can take a look and share and give you some ideas too.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anything else before I go on? I like this. I feel like I'm a radio host with my headset. It's kind of fun. All right. So how to get that interview? You guys, it's truly all about connections. It's all about, I can't even remember the percentage. It just went out of my head because that's just how my brain works. The percentage of the number of people that get interviews is because of who they know. And it comes down to that. So what happens if you don't know anyone and you don't know what you don't know, honestly, find out and do your research who works for that company or who works for that in that department that you can connect with. LinkedIn is a tremendous resource. It really is. And the beauty of LinkedIn is you can message anyone, even without being connected. You can use that opportunity with LinkedIn Mail to reach out to. I had an opportunity last year before I started this company, and I got the interview because I emailed that hiring manager directly, and I would never have gotten it before. Because I will tell you just real briefly, if you are applying for jobs through their website, you're not going to crack through their computer system. It is something that was created many years ago by HR folks to get streamlining of the way that they receive applications, especially if you're talking about major corporations and how to weed through all of that. It's a computer algorithm. Breaking through that algorithm just does not work, because you could be the most qualified for the position, and if you don't have the right buzzwords, you're never going to get an interview, ever. So that's where those connections come in. So if you can do your research and study and ask around and email, LinkedIn is your best resource. And introduce yourself and let them know, attach your resume and say, look, this is what I'm interested in, this particular position. I feel like I'm qualified because of this, 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 and this. I've attached my resume. Would you please consider me? I'd love to hear from you. You know, something along those lines. That's going to work. That's that's the way to crack in. Finding out anyone that you might be connected to within the company. Like you could connect with, say, for instance, Amazon. Just look for people with Amazon and start connecting with them. And you're going to get in that way. Just more people who are connected with you. And then if that particular person receives a message and they say, oh, wow, well, so-and-so has 20 connections from Amazon, maybe I should explore this a little bit further. That really makes a difference. Okay, scroll. There we go. All right. Say you get in, you get the interview. Big time. It's go time. All right. What do we do? All right, my friends. Please, please, please dress to impress. No hoodies. I'm sorry. Those are the most comfortable things in the entire world. I know. It's okay. Don't worry. You're not in an interview. This is so important. Please look your best, dress to impress. If you do not have, and jackets go a long way. And I know people disagree with me on this. Some of them, you know, we're a little bit more casual now. We've all been working from home. You may be doing an interview from home. I get it. But you're dressing to get the job. Wear what you want once you get the job, if it's allowed. But right now, you want to dress to impress. You want to look professional. Even if it's not a professional job, you just want to look like you are walking in qualified for this position. Comb your hair, put some makeup on if you wear makeup, you know, just make sure that you look presentable. This would be something that you can say and take a selfie and like, I look good. That's kind of the mindset. That's what you want to kind of keep in the back of your mind for this. You know, there's different ways in which to approach it, but you know how when you look good and you feel good, it really translates as well in the interview too. Eye contact, that is so important. I know some of my friends might be on the spectrum and that may be a little bit more difficult. However, if you can just try to remember that, you know, there are opportunities to look people in the eye when you speak to them, it goes a long way. And it just helps to show your commitment as well, that you're there and you're focused in the interview. Come prepared. This is another one. Oh my goodness. So bring a copy of your resume, bring several if you're meeting with a couple people, because sometimes you do have people that pop into interviews that you have to meet with. And have that to present and share with them, because not every time they're not going to print it out and share it with somebody else. Make sure you have copies of your resume. Do your homework on the company and the job. This is vital. They're going to ask you questions. Why do you want to work at XYZ company? And you can't say, because I need a job. You're going to say, because I love what you do. I love the fact that this particular role will foster my career and help translate that into blah, blah, blah. You've got to come prepared. So important. Learn about the person you're interviewing with. LinkedIn is awesome for that. They will have their entire resume on there. You're going to know everything about them, where they went to school, if they went to school and have a degree, how long they've worked at the company. So then you can turn it around and ask them questions. And I forgot to add that at the bottom. Ask them questions, because if you ask them after you've done your research, then they know that you've done your research and you're knowledgeable about the company and you're knowledgeable about them. Because they will ask you at the very end of the interview, they're going to say, so what questions do you have for me? You got to ask questions. You can't say, oh, this is good, thanks. No, you have to act like you know about them intimately, that you were excited to be there, and that you've done your homework. That is just absolutely vital. Now, accommodations. to disclose or not to disclose. This is definitely, and I'm not sure where everyone falls on their disability range, but this is a big one, especially when you're talking about mental illness and a mental disability. We have learned so much over the past, oh goodness, it's been going on forever, it seems like, with this pandemic. Anyway, we've learned a lot, and mental health has certainly taken a toll on a lot of people in this country. And there are more and more people with mental health disabilities and that are actually sharing for the first time. And with that, those leads to opportunities for accommodations from employers to recognize that. There are mental health days that are now being built into support packages for people being hired, but you have to share that. And it's not always an easy thing, but it is something that if you do, can go a longer way. So say, for instance, you are going in for the interview and you're like, do I tell them? Do I not tell them? That's up to you, but I can tell you that if you say, for instance, you don't share, and then you're having to take time off for work because of doctor's appointments, and the hiring manager is starting to get frustrated because you're missing work because you didn't share in the beginning, when if that was known in the beginning, they could have been more agreeable and understanding that, hey, I have a new employee that probably will have to take off once a month, or maybe just the afternoon once a month to address whatever it is. So it definitely goes back to comfortability, and I understand that. It goes back to having enough faith in people to provide what they're saying they're providing. And I know that's not always easy. And that's where we're trying to help break that stigma and help people understand that when you disclose your disability, that's very important. Now, obviously, visible disabilities are a little bit more different because that's visible and people understand when they meet you for the first time. But I'm talking more about the invisible portion of it. But that's too where we help in making sure that people know and recognize what it means to be accommodating and to be inclusive. Okay. All right. You rocked it in the interview. You went in, you looked awesome. You answered their questions. You knew the job. You sold yourself. You said you were the best person for this position. You need to hire me. So then what do? You leave the appointment and you always, always, always send a follow-up message. Always. By this point, you're going to have their email address most likely. If not, you can send it through LinkedIn, but thank them for the time. And this is your last opportunity to kind of really just hone it in and say, it was amazing to meet you. I'm excited about this position. I really feel like the way that you described the job, I will fit it because I have the qualifications of this, this, and this. It would be a pleasure to work for this company. It would be wonderful to work for you. I blah, blah, you know what I'm saying. Excited. And of course, we can always help with that as well. This really makes a difference now, it doesn't mean necessarily you're going to get the job because they may already have their mind made up, but it really goes a long way in making sure that you just continue to stick out in their mind, especially if they're interviewing multiple candidates. Just helps to reinforce that you're on top of it. And once again, proofread. You've got to make sure you spell things correctly and your sentence structure is correct. So that's part of it too. All right. And last but not least, you guys, just be you. Be who you are. Be authentic. You don't want to pretend to be somebody else and then you show up for the first day and they're like, who did I hire? Oh my goodness. No, be you. Take the initiative. And I say initiative, it's just reaching out, being determined is another one, of finding that right fit for you and looking for that next opportunity. And when you get the position, work hard because my goodness, you guys, there are so many job openings right now. I mean, you go around the corner and everyone is hiring because the great resignation, as they're calling it in this country. But let me tell you what that means. That means if you get hired and you work hard, you are just going to fly to the top because they're going to say, man, we have a great worker here. We're going to take and make sure that we appreciate them and we're going to take care of them. And my goodness, the sky is the limit. There are so many people that are having that opportunity to get their foot in the door, because now is the time. Now is just, let's do it. You've got companies who are reaching out saying, I want to be more inclusive. And there are companies that are desperate for workers that want to appreciate hard workers. You know, I have a client actually here in North Carolina. That's where I am, in Charlotte, who it's a retirement homes community, and they are desperate for help. And you know, I spoke to the hiring manager this morning, and she's like, Vanessa, you know, just give me a hard worker, and let me tell you, they're going to be running the department next week, just because that's just how we are. We want to take care of our hard workers and appreciate them. So the time is now, and I'm so excited you guys are here for this, to have the opportunity to be a part of. You know, some people are like, oh no, we don't have workers, but man, if you're looking for an opportunity, this is your time, truly. And if you guys have any more questions after this, you know, I know it's Friday night, you're like, I want pizza and beer. I get it. But you know, reach out to me. Please don't hesitate. You know, we're All Ability Recruiting. And right now it's my husband and I. So when you call us and you email us, you're going to get me or my husband, Bill. And we're hoping that as we continue to grow, we'll have some more opportunities for jobs too, to help provide work for All Ability. So I am going to.
Quick question. Sorry. Can I ask a
Yes.
quick question? So do you guys work like nationally, or, you know, are the people you match with kind of everywhere, or do you have a specific region?
That is a great question. So our clients currently right now, which are the companies that have reached out to us, are here locally in North Carolina. And that's just because we've gotten the word out here and through our network. However, our candidates are from all over the country. We have 2 clients on board with us now. We're going to be onboarding one next week. Like I said, the retirement homes community, those jobs right now are in person. The other company that we have 3 remote jobs. So if you take a look at our website at allabilityrecruiting.com and you go to the candidates page, you can see what opportunities we have remotely. And I have that 3rd job that I'm actually going to be putting on. They just sent it to us this afternoon. I'm going to be putting on the website this weekend. So please keep checking. Michelle, I'm not sure where you're based, but we are hoping to have, like I said, another client come on next week with more remote jobs. This is obviously something that most people are desiring, and I get that, because my goodness, I get to work in my PJs and my fluffy shoes and a blanket. I love that. And I get that. And so we're trying to really network and get the word out about the company. We are a relatively new company. We launched in June. And so right now our main focus, like for instance, with this and working with Will, with me and Jesse, is to garner more candidates so I can, you know, find those opportunities and working with the clients and getting the name out for there.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any questions?
I don't exactly have any questions, but I've been in a chair for about 30 years now, and paraplegic, and I didn't do the continuation of schooling and all that. So I've been in the workforce for quite a while, and I've done quite a bit. Right now, I'm a customer service manager for the company I work for, but dispatching has always been a good source of work for anybody who's disabled as well. So just as maybe just a heads up, different fields, you know, it's worked well for me as a paraplegic in a manual chair. Those have always done well for me. So
Jacob, describe me when you say about dispatching. So tell me exactly what that entails, because it can be different things at different companies. So I just want to make sure I understand.
Right. So I worked for a transportation company here in Orlando, Florida. Taxis, shuttle vans, motor coaches. And I was a shuttle van dispatcher manager for that, and handled a whole division. So it was just basically sitting at the desk and managing 25 drivers in a 60-mile square grid, and keeping track of all the times and stuff like that.
And is that something that you're wanting to get back into? Inclusive.
Yeah, the money is definitely more there versus customer service.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I would think too, with the fact that, oh my goodness, there's such a truck shortage right now for drivers and the opportunity within the transportation field, that those opportunities would be out there. And I would think Orlando, now that things are starting to pick back up, right? I mean, you guys are, wide open down in Florida. So you
Yeah,
would hope.
yeah, quite a bit. But yeah, we've been having a large employment boom, I would guess you could say here.
Mhm.
So a lot of hiring going on.
And so
Uh,
are you starting to look around in that area then? Are you seeing anything that's coming open?
Right now I work for a friend of mine, and I run all his customer service for his company. Um, I personally am looking to relocate,
Okay.
uh, and probably up more towards Tennessee, North Carolina, maybe right around there area.
Okay.
So I've personally been looking to relocate, but that is something that has kind of been worrying me a little bit,
Mhm.
to leave a solid job, and relocate to another state and find employment that's going to be uh, profitable, or making enough money to be able to stay on my own.
I understand that for sure. Listen, I'm in Charlotte, so it's a great area, Jacob, if you want to take a look here, because it's awesome. And I'm actually originally from Tennessee, so I know the area as well. So if you want to reach out to us, and we can kind of keep you on our radar for sure, if any opportunities should arise within that, we can certainly reach out to you. And obviously making sure you fully vet the company and the information before you move up here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And making sure you know everything. But that would be great. Yes, absolutely, Jacob. If you want to shoot me an email, or just so we can stay in touch, that would be great. And I can keep an
Yeah.
eye out for you as well.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm always, always looking for different opportunities to grow. And even though I'm a customer service manager now, unfortunately here in Florida, the wages versus the cost of living is just kind of skyrocketed, I guess you could say. I mean,
Hmm.
our minimum wage is at $10 an hour, but in Orlando, you have to make at least $21 an hour to be able to afford to live on your own. And with the
Wow.
tourism economy here, it just doesn't support that kind of pay scale. So
Absolutely.
it makes it very difficult in the Orlando area to stay afloat.
That is fascinating. I didn't realize the minimum wage was like that in Florida. That's in Orlando. That's
We actually
interesting.
voted for $15 an hour. So
Right.
um, this year it went to 10, and then next year it'll go to 11, and then 12 and 13, 14, so on, $1 per year.
Wow.
So it's just not really supporting the economy down here to be able to support yourself.
That's interesting. So I will tell you, here in Charlotte, it starts at 12.50 and
Okay.
and goes up. So I feel like North Carolina is a little bit ahead of the game, maybe, but I can't speak to the other states, and I'm not sure where everyone else is.
Okay.
But I know that they're trying to change that to $15 an hour, federal mandated. It hasn't been approved yet, so just something to keep in mind as things go forward. But good, I'm glad you told me that. Thank you, Jacob. Please stay in touch.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And don't call me ma'am. I'm not old, I promise.
It's a habit. It's a habit.
I love it. I love it.
It's just a habit.
Michelle, thank you so much for your LinkedIn. Let's connect. That would be great. Okay, so any other questions? Well, you got me. It's a arduous, I should say it's a big word I use, arduous task of finding the right job and getting to the right fit. And it's a matchmaking service, and that's where we like to help with that. The tide has definitely changed, especially over the past few years, of people honoring those with disabilities and wanting to be more impactful in employment. The numbers show, you guys, that if you employ someone with a disability, that they are loyal loyal employees, and they end up being rock stars within the company and with their teams, for so many reasons for that. So if you are wanting to switch jobs, if you're looking for new employment, just reach out to us and we can walk you through that and hopefully find the right fit. Like I said, we're adding new opportunities all the time and we want to help. That's what we do. And it's, you know, it's not just, it's very, I should say it's very personal for us. It touches me very dearly as someone who has a disability. And, you know, we're all about making sure that at the end of the day, we do the right thing. And if you go to our website, allabilityrecruiting.com, you can find out more about us and what we believe in and who we are and what our goals are for the company. And, oh, someone's going to win something, right? Yay! Thank you, Jackie.
I was just about to drop it too, Jackie. You just beat me to it.
Perfect.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, if no one else has any further questions, and if you have not yet, if you're a manual wheelchair user, please drop your name in the chat to win a free set of Kenda tires from our sponsor tonight.
That's awesome.
Yes. And they actually agreed to do next year, so that's super exciting as well.
Yay.
Yes, they've already committed.
Yes. So thank you, Anessa, for spending your Friday evening working with us and sharing all this useful information. I know that I learned so much, and I think we all there's pieces that we can all take from this.
My pleasure. And like I said, just reach out to me, guys, if you have other questions and you think of something else, or even if you already have an interview and you're like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Just, you know, happy to help.
Yes, we dropped her website in the chat, and then in our follow-up email, we'll make sure to add some more ways to contact her. So Jacob is the winner tonight. So if you can email info@wheelwithmefoundation.org, your tire size, name, and address, we'll be able to get those shipped out to you. Thank you all again, everyone else, for spending your Friday evening with us and for wrapping up this last empowerment week. I think it was phenomenal. I can't wait to see you hopefully all next year. Our next one is going to be around the start of February.
Yay.
So if you kind of want to plan for it now, just heads up. So yeah, we hope to see you then. And thank you guys for another wonderful night.
So
Thank
great,
you so much.
guys. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Bye.
Oh, I'm the host. I have to end it. Oh, okay. Bye.